This is Mick from Temperance, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. Hello, everyone. Hello, Bruce. Hello, Kris. Hello, Riina.
Hello. Is that a SE reflection filter I see beside you there?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Straight to the gear porn, huh?
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's.
No dinner.
I'm actually. That's this, music nerds. This is what we are.
He's just trying to impress you with his.
No, I'm not. I was actually just wondering how it works in that room.
Actually, I would like to take the monitor and turn it, flip-flop it so you could see like the speakers, the audio card. But this is my home studio in my living room. So
nice. Is this where you record most of your stuff?
No, this is where I record demos and ideas that comes to my mind when I'm at home. I run a studio, like my second job / first job, depending on how much you consider being a singer a real job. Because when I tell my parents, I am a singer, this is my job, they say, okay, but what's your real job? The answer is I run my own recording studio here in Italy, which is where we record Temperance's records and some bands that I produce. So
nice.
There is where I actually do the real business.
Right.
But ideas
I consider singing real business.
Yeah, me too. It's just that my parents, they keep on not believing that. So
right.
This I understand. This makes sense to me.
All right, Riina,
how are you doing?
Oh, sorry.
How are you all doing?
You're doing great.
I'm just asking how you are all doing. All good?
Yeah, it's
all
been
good.
Good morning so far. Get to see everybody and talk. It's great.
Nice.
I'm hating
situation?
I gotta say, like I'm in Finland, so we're in the worst freaking season where it's basically just Mordor from morning till evening, orcs everywhere.
Right.
No, it's just really dark, and it's hard on you as a person because people need the sun. Yes. We don't have it. But that's really convenient to have you in your recording studio. Tell us more, like, which bands are you producing? Do you have, like, whoever just walks in and gives you a bunch of money, you're like, cool, let's make an album? Or do you need to be a fan of the band to produce them and allow them?
Well, I of course, I try to select the stuff I work with, but there are a couple of bands which I've been working since ages now. Ages. It's since a couple of years. It's
right.
More realistic. There are some good ones actually that I could promote and invite since you are asking this question. There is a band called Sadness, just like sadness, but with an and, which is an AOR band from Trento, Italy. I've been working with them since 2015, I think, for the last 2 records and EP. They are currently looking for a bigger label, and I would suggest to check them out if you like AOR and hard rock stuff, because I really believe in those guys. They are super young. There is another band which is impossible to find a label to, because they have their own style, which is really close to pop, but also to punk and also to modern metal. So it's really hard to identify their Perpetual Fate.
Okay.
Also super young. I tend to work with super young bands, like I have most of the bands I work with, they are between 20 and 25 years old, newcomers searching for labels. Sometimes they find it, sometimes they don't. There is a Swedish band which is called Emetropia. They just released their first full length, and it's another band that I produce. So yeah, I'm kind of, I would say, new in the business. It's not that long that I produce bands. So yeah, maybe in the next future we will talk about bigger bands, but for now it's young acts.
Right.
Do you think that they're like more open to your suggestions, and this is why you want to work with younger people, like the older, more experienced?
No. There is if tomorrow Epica would like to come to my studio, I will totally appreciate the chance. But I just believe that they are safe where they are with Yost,
Right. So let's talk about the record for a minute. Diamanti. Now that it's done, complete, and out in the world, how do you feel about it? And are you satisfied with the way it turned out?
Actually, I'm super, super satisfied of this record. Actually, probably I will be the first one to say this, but we have to say thanks to the pandemic, because it really gave us time to work in a way more detailed way on this record compared to the previous works of Temperance. Viridian, we really wanted to release it in last year, actually. Right. We really wanted to release it at the beginning of the year. And we felt like we had to rush a couple of things, especially when it comes to the orchestration and some arrangements. We had to speed up the process to be in time to release it in January. And in the end, it was pointless because the pandemic popped up 1 month after and completely destroyed every promotion. But at least we had like 1 year in our flats, in our homes, to work properly on every detail for Diamanti. And actually, I think this paid off. Now that I've seen what we can do when we really focus and take our time to develop some stuff, I believe that I will try to push Marco to go slower before releasing the 7th record, because I believe that this one really, you can clearly hear that there is much work behind the arrangements, behind the guitar work, behind the bass work, behind the vocal arrangements. I consider it a pretty strong step forward compared to the work that we've done before. But when you are a touring band, and Temperance is a touring band, you have to release, tour, release, tour, release, tour. And if you don't do this, you die, you get overwhelmed by all the releases. So it's not like we could do better than we did before. But now maybe we can take things, slower for the future. Let's see.
I actually have a question about that. Since the pandemic was around and Italy was hit especially hard, did you guys do a lot of like home recording and then bring it to the studio, or were you trying to work safely in the studio environment?
No, everything was done on Zoom. Everything. From the first note to the last note, in terms of composition and on pre-production, everything was done on Zoom. Even the orchestras, like the orchestral arrangement. For Viridian, Marco and we took 1 week off and we went in a house in the mountain. That's a real story, actually, without internet, without any connection. And we spent 1 week there on our own to try this new experience and focus only on composing and arranging the music. And this was completely not possible with this record. So we spent like 3 or 4 months calling each other almost every day, working on Zoom, arranging first this song, then this other one, then the third one. Follow Me and Pure Life Unfolds, they've been composed on Zoom. So the idea came out, step by step, riff after riff on Zoom while working together. And for some weird reason, I love this process. I will never say I wish for another pandemic to come, because I think that everyone would fairly kill me and I would appreciate. Right. But actually, this was a good way of working, a good method, I would say.
No, you know what? I actually agree with you. I hate the pandemic. I hate what it's done to everything, but I love what it's done for creativity. The ability to really have the time to focus and work. And like you say, if you're working in the same room with someone for a week, you run into all of these like personal issues sometimes, like, oh, he's in the bathroom too long, or that shower take too long, or whatever, but all those little things, they rub you in a certain way. But when you work on Zoom, it's like a 40-minute phone call. You work for a while, then you can hang up and you can work on your own. Then you can call back, and you can constantly, you're not being invaded by someone else's space, and they're not being invaded by yours, but yet you can still collaborate and bring those things together.
That's for sure. In general, I believe that, especially in the last 10 years, I would say, at least I speak for myself, my life was more and more rushy. Like I felt like time was shortening up, and I would have needed 28 hours days 30-hour days, 32 hours days. With the pandemic, actually, I rediscovered time. This is the only bright side of this entire story that we are facing right now, because I really rediscovered time, and I understood the importance of time, and taking the right time to do things, which I could only do because someone forced me to stop with my work in the studio, stop Marco with his regular daily life business. We were forced at home. Here in Italy, we had a serious lockdown. I don't know what happened exactly in the US, but we were stuck at our homes for 3 months. Like, the only thing we could actually do was going out to the grocery store and have a 1-hour walk. This was everything that we were allowed to do. The remaining 22, 23 hours per day, we were forced to stay here. And I found myself with so much free time that I was asking myself, okay, now what do I do? This never happened before, as far as I can remember, maybe when I was a kid, And this is precious. Time is a priceless, incredibly priceless value that we have.
I actually don't think you're alone in that feeling. And I think that's why as the economy comes back, there's a lot of open jobs that nobody's filling. And it's not because the people aren't there. It's because, like you say, they've rediscovered time, and they've reevaluated who they are, and what they want to be. And it's interesting.
Yes,
sorry,
absolutely.
this is not music related, so I guess I should.
Still, the artist and his thoughts.
That never happens on the show that we stray off to something.
I guess so. This sentence sounded really truthful.
Yeah. But this is a really interesting subject, though. You both are extremely correct. And Kris is very much onto something here, that we're at the verge of like a mass rediscovery of ourselves and what it is to be a human, and what has value, what hasn't. And that's really amazing. And it's just super interesting to watch how the big mechanics of society, meaning capitalism, is then fighting back on this sort of spiritual awakening, if you can like put it into something as big as that. But that's basically what it is, though, isn't it? Because people just realize that, holy shit, I don't need to be spending 3 hours of my day in public transport and just literally running. I was literally running places every day to run my life before the pandemic started, and was just incredibly relieved when it happened. And for me, that was also like a wake-up call. Like, holy shit, if I'm this happy that I don't have to live my life anymore, then I need to reevaluate, and quickly. And so many people have faced that. And that says something huge about how we built our world and our lives. And it's a welcome change, but let's see if it lasts. That's the big question.
I agree. Well, I hope that smart working that has been somehow rediscovered, discovered, or spread at least with the pandemic will last longer, because at least in Italy, it seems that everything is more efficient with smart working, except for school. After a certain age. Because at the beginning, till you are 18, 19, you need to socialize. This is extremely important. But after that age, it really feels like, feeling free to do things the way you want, in the time you want, from your place, relieves your mind, relaxes your mind, and you are more efficient. So even your working activity becomes more efficient. And this is kind of amazing.
True. I've been working from home for years, but as I remember, I used to have to go out and work. And then when I started working at home, suddenly I found what used to take me 8 hours, I was getting done in 4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm. What are you asking?
Riina?
Have you done any long distance recordings with the bands that you're producing?
Yes. Like the Swedish band never came to my studio, for instance. They sent the recordings, and we worked on like even the choirs. I guided them online. So yeah.
Were you guys using like session wire, or were you using audio?
I use Cubase. And there is a specific tool that is integrated in Cubase. But of course, like sessions, or there are plenty of these apps right now that can connect you. They fix the latency so that you can actually listen somehow in real time. I mean, real time means 150 milliseconds, but this is nothing, you know, so it's absolutely worth it. And even with Marco, during the pre-production of Diamanti, he was like recording his guitar at his place. He was sending me the WAV files. I was mounting them on the platform, and through Zoom, he was listening to what was going on my Cubase. So it's an interesting process. The latest Visions of Atlantis record that is going to be released next year. I don't know if you are aware that I also sing for Visions of Atlantis. The sound guy, the studio engineer, and we were connected on Zoom, and he was using an external software to stream his Reaper, because he uses Reaper in my monitor. So that was actually listening to the session in high quality while he was mixing it to fix, you know, the levels, the balance, to define the arrangements and everything. So, I mean, 2021 is fantastic on this side.
No, I mixed a ton of records this year using a plugin called Audio Movers Listen To, and you can stream it at 24-bit 96K if the internet can handle it.
Audio Movers, right? Audio Movers, you said.
Yeah, Audio Movers, and the plugin.
I think this is what we were using with VOA. I think this is what we were
It's
using.
cheap too. It's like $5 a week to use.
Yeah, you have a subscription, like, yes. I think this was the software.
Or it's like $25 a month. But like I would say, okay, I'm ready for reviews, and I would just send out a link, and the client clicks it, and they're listening to it wherever they could listen to it. They're like, oh, I want to do a car check, and they could just go to their car, get the phone out, hit the link, and listen to it in their car.
Yes.
Wow.
And then they say, okay, I want to listen to it in my earpods or whatever, and then they hook up the earpods, just all through the same link. It's just unbelievable what can be done.
Yeah, it's wonderful. On this side, it's wonderful. Music is like so many tools that we have as musicians, guys.
Yes. So, on a non-technical note, how many singing lessons have you taken in your life?
Uncountable. A lot. Uncountable. I've been studying. I've started with a jazz teacher. No, that's actually not true. I started in a choir when I was really young. I was like 6 to 7 years old. I don't remember when I started actually, but I was studying piano, and it was mandatory in our school to have a secondary course that you had to follow. And I chose choir singing. And of course, the teacher was not only teaching us how to read the notes on a sheet, but he was also teaching us how to breathe properly. And this was my first approach to singing. And I've been studying for 8-9 years piano, consequently choir singing too. After that, I decided to study lead singing, like solo singing. And I subscribed to a modern singing school. And my teacher was a jazz teacher. She was called Riina, which guided me through the first approaches to, you know, expression and improvisation and all of this stuff. Then at a certain point, she told me, you know, what you are doing with your voice, of course, I was a rock singer already, is kind of far to my way of teaching. And I feel like it's better for you if you find someone else who is more into the style and the jar that you are willing to approach. So this was kind of a wake-up call for me, because I understood that it doesn't only matter to study your instrument, but finding the right person was something important. Like having the best teacher, or a teacher that is appropriate for your style, is fundamental. So I searched for someone in Italy who could help me. And I found Michele Guaitoli, who is currently the keyboard player of Whitesnake, but he's an amazing singer. He's an amazing singer. And he was one of the most renowned teaching singers that we had in Italy back in the days. I think he still is, but he doesn't teach that much because of Whitesnake, of course. And I've been studying with him for 4 or 5 years. Then my musical career started to be, I would say, invasive in my regular daily life, free time. And I had to drop like this weekly/monthly lessons. And I started to develop some lyrical singing with a lyrical teacher, which I still see every now and then, but it's like once every year. or twice, just to focus on some details when I have doubts or something like that. It's like a car review,
a tune-up.
But it's like, okay, tell me,
yeah. Riina?
Yeah, so you're just checking your roadworthy. I don't know what the hell's going on with my throat. I don't mean to be at you guys, but I am. So do you think, like, to go back to the whole remote recording sessions, and you said that you were directing them online and so on. Do you think that there's something missing from the connection with the producer and the musicians if you're not like physically in the same space? Do you think that there's ideas that you could be missing, or like some sort of personal connection that could encourage the musician to do better or something like that?
Well, this goes a bit into the emotional level rather than on the technical level, because I personally believe that there is this thing that someone called mojo in the past. Someone says it's mood, someone says it's vibe. I don't know your word to call this. Ethereal and untouchable thing that music has, it's something that you cannot feel and you cannot perceive from a screen or from the speakers. And sometimes the best take is not the most correct, but is the one that has a higher level of mojo, a bigger aura, or whatever you want to feel it. And this is not reachable online. And also, this is what really makes live shows needed, in my opinion, because sometimes you watch the videos from the show that you've been performing or attending the day before, and they are super shit on YouTube. But there, in that moment, they were so awesome that you were shivering or even crying, and you rewatch them, you say, but this guy is singing as shit now. Why is this happening? Because the mojo, the vibe that you were feeling there while physically there, you cannot feel it, you cannot touch it, or whichever word you want to use when it's online, and this is something that it's limited when it comes to online working.
So speaking of live shows,
go ahead, Kris. Sorry,
I feel guilty. I'm interrupting Riina here. Yeah. But speaking of live shows, when do you guys plan on touring again or playing live again?
Then February, March, April, May. Actually, we have the Tarja tour. We are supporting Tarja. This was supposed to happen in 2020, then it was postponed to 2021, and then postponed to 2022. Hopefully, it will happen in 2022. I mean, the situation in Europe is not that stable again, but somehow I believe that this is also related to the season, because it's inevitable that in winter the cases will raise again. And it's now 5 months since everyone took the second shot. So it's fair enough that now with the third shot and everything, the situation will improve again. Right. So I'm positive, not in the COVID sense of the word, for February, March. I'm positive that tours will happen. Anyways, if it doesn't happen in February, we have a March leg with Tarja again. And then April and May, we have to announce. It's not official, but I can already spread the news. We have an headlining tour with Temperance that will last something like 3 weeks. That will include UK, that will include Germany, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, some shows in Spain, if I'm right. So there is a lot ongoing. The plan is to play as much as we can and recap all the shows that we didn't play in the last year and a half.
Right.
But how can you promise it will happen in these days?
You can't. You just said something that piqued my interest, that you guys are going to the UK. How hard is it now for a European band to tour in the UK since Brexit?
It's just a matter of getting the visa. It's as hard as going to the US.
Okay.
We have to pay a working visa as much as we have to do it with the US. Right. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's the easiest process, but this is just because some bands, they are not willing to invest in advance. Right. For instance, we decided to pay our visas on our own with Temperance, and it was super easy to get the shows because everyone is willing to welcome European bands now. And I guess it would be the same in the US. It's just that, traveling with 5 people, guitars, instruments, and rack from Italy to the US, it's tiny bit more expensive. So this is not as easy as saying, okay, I will pay 300 euros for my working visa in the
UK. Thank you, my friends. We were all over the place, but that's the way I like the interviews to go. Just whatever happens. So
that's the most funny interviews ever, because you don't speak about, the regular things. I'm so fed up with being asked, when did you guys formed up? When did the band start? What happened when the lineup changed and blah, blah, blah. This is way more interesting and shows some aspects of the artist that is actually not always easy to show. And I hope that it's more appreciated even from the point of view of the listeners.
You nailed our motto right on the head. That's how we try and do this. Just a casual conversation, and wherever we go, we go. Hey, for fans who want to find you want to drop your social media links so they can find you?
Of course. It's absolutely easy. Temperance Official everywhere, except for the website, which is Temperance Band. So Instagram, Temperance Official, Facebook, Temperance Official, www.temperanceband.com. And from there, you will find all the links to our web store, to our label, to our video clips, to everything. News, of course, we keep everything as updated as we can. And that's it. I can only invite the listeners to listen to Diamanti. And I want to invite everyone to check the Spotify version, because compared to the physical version, we have 5 more songs, or better, 5 more versions of the title track. As the title track on the physical version is in Italian. I mean, the chorus is in Italian, whilst on Spotify, you will find the Spanish, English, German, and French version too.
Nice.
So if there are listeners from Canada, they will find Diamanti in French. If there are listeners from Latino America or something, they will find the Spanish version. I promise the next time we will also include Russian, Portuguese, and all the other languages. People complain like, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you sing it in Russian? And it's like, guys, we're doing our best.
Right.
If you're going to be touring with Daria, I guess you have to do a Finnish version, right?
Yeah, or Swedish, because there are so many languages. It's just that we have to learn to do it decently, because if we end up mocking a language, it's not really nice.
Right.
I'm Italian. It's already an effort to talk properly, or at least almost properly in English.
Well, I think you're doing great on that respect. So no worries there. Ray, good luck with everything, and I hope you guys get to do that tour with Daria.
Thank you, and I mean, never say never. I hope we see each other on the road sooner or later.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Thanks
if you're
for
ever
taking
in
the time.
US, hit me up, because I'm gonna go check it out.
I will. I mean, when the pandemic started, I was in the US with Visions of Atlantis. We played 6 shows out of 20, if I'm right. So kind of disappointing, but I hope we will come back. I still have my visa is still valid for the next 4 years. So
we'll meet somewhere down the road. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Ciao, guys. Thank you very much.
Hey, be well.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Hello out there. Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.